Good morning. Hi, I'm Pam Fox. Thanks for watching. I'm just sitting here eating my oatmeal. And this is just a simple oatmeal and raisins with a chopped banana in it. But what's a little bit different about it today is I made my own milk for it because we're out of milk. You know, the non-dairy milks, they're pretty spendy, and there's a lot of ingredients in there, you know. I'm still on the fence on how, you know, healthy they are. Certainly better than dairy milks, but I don't know how healthy they are. So some days I make my own milk, because I do like to put milk on my oatmeal. It's not as good without it, I don't think. And so making your own milk is actually the simplest thing. It is the easiest thing. The easiest way, well, one of my favorite ways to make milk is if I have leftover rice in the fridge from the night before. And I have a Vitamix, so it helps to have a high-powered blender, especially with rice, because when you put it in there and it starts to break down the starch, it gets really sticky and can tax your motor. But you just put like maybe a half a cup of leftover cooked rice in your blender with a couple of cups of water. And I like to put in a palmful of mixed, I buy the trail mix from Fred Meyer produce, or the bulk department. And it's a pumpkin seed, sesame seed, and some dried fruits. And almonds and Brazil nuts are what's in this particular trail mix that I really like. So I put a palmful of that in the blender and just blend it on high for like a minute. And then you've got a really tasty, creamy milk. You can use just regular oats. You can use cooked oats or dry oats. That's what I did today. I just put a cup of dry oats and 2 cups of water, a palmful of the trail mix. And it makes just a really creamy milk. I don't know that I would put it in a glass and drink it as a beverage. I've done that with the rice milk. If I put in a little bit of vanilla in there and a little bit more of the nut mix, it just makes it kind of sweet and nutty, and it's quite good. And then put in a little bit more rice, it makes it a little bit creamier and thicker. That sounds really gross, but it's really good. I actually got the idea from Mommy Tang. If you guys watch her on YouTube, she's Korean and she's vegan, and she does a lot of Korean recipes on her YouTube channel. She's a lot of fun. Okay, so today I'd like to talk about, I'm going to do 2 more videos about relationships. Today I'm going to talk about coworkers. And the reason I think it's important not to neglect discussing coworkers when it comes to relationships is because for many of us, you know, I spend 40 plus hours on average at work every week. And so for me, my coworkers and my customers are really kind of like a family. They are my friends. They are my family. I spend a lot of time with them. And so to not place an emphasis on those relationships wouldn't make sense. So let's just talk a little bit about coworkers, and you can include in that, you know, maybe you don't work, but maybe you spend time volunteering, maybe you spend time at your church doing a ministry. So we'll include in this category just the people that we spend time with in our lives that aren't our close personal friends and family. Okay, so I know for me, where I work, and of course everybody's going to be different, we're very disengaged a lot of the time. So we're each doing our own job. We're each, you know, busy doing our work, coming and going, you know, on a mission. And so there isn't a lot of time to really get to know one another. And again, how do you go deeper in your relationships? You've got to have conversations, and you've got to have, you know, spend time together. You have to have shared memories together where you bonded over something. And so I feel fairly close with my coworkers because we work at an assisted living, and we bond over our residents, really. We bond over them through our dedication and compassion for them. We bond through that. But we don't have a lot of, you know, one-on-one time with each other. And so I remember several years ago, I've been there 14 years. Several years ago, there was a woman who was leaving. It was her last day at work. And I was saying, you know, oh, good luck to you. We're going to miss you. You know, I was basically saying goodbye to her. And she looked at me and said, you know, I didn't even think you liked me. I thought you didn't like me. And that wasn't the first time I'd had somebody say that to me, because I can be, keep in mind, there is an old Pam and there is a new Pam, but I can be, but I used to be really bad at this. Very, and a lot of people are just wrapped up in your own little world and not really paying attention to what's going on around you and not really making an effort to engage with others. So I used to be really bad at that. I used to be really, good at just going about my day on a mission, focused on my work, and not taking the time to slow down, to smile at people, to ask them how they're doing, to ask them how their weekend was. There is a woman that I work with. Her name is Lisa. So I'm going to do a shout out to Lisa just in case she's watching. I'm pretty sure she's a member of this group. So Lisa has been a great inspiration to me because she is the type of person who will slow down, who will take the time to say, how are you? How was your weekend? What are you going to do this weekend? And she gets to know people so that she knows, if their dad is in the hospital. She knows if their kids are having a hard time in algebra. She takes the time to get to know people. And so then, when there's a minute to stop and slow down and engage, she can say, how's your dad doing? Or whatever. And so she's been a great inspiration to me. Just me watching her example has been a beautiful thing because it's helped me to transform and become a better person. And slow down and take that minute to engage with people, to inquire, how are you? And to listen. That's so key, to listen. How many times have you introduced yourself to someone and they tell you their name and then 30 seconds go by and you're like, oh my gosh, what did she say her name was? Most of us do that because we don't pay attention. We don't slow down, listen, engage, and pay attention. And so that can happen in conversations too, right? Where someone can be telling you something that might be very meaningful and you're not really paying attention, and then a little bit of the time goes by and you can't even remember what they were saying. So we have to really slow down. I think that's the key. Just, and a lot of times we have a lot of work to do and we don't have time for any of that stuff. And so, sometimes it's just something simple. Just slow down for a moment. It's okay. I like to, with my residents, I'm trying to get more in the habit of just slowing down when I pass somebody in the hall, saying hello, taking a breath. Maybe I put my hand, on their walker. A lot of people you have to remember that little bit of touch. I like to touch people, maybe, touch the back of their back, maybe a little back scratch. I know where I work, some of these people, maybe they've been widowed for 5 years and, their family comes to visit them once a year. And so, that intimate, special, meaningful touch is something that they may not ever have. And so that one little touch can really mean a lot. It can really mean a lot. So smiling at people, touching people, slowing down and inquiring, engaging, listening, paying attention. These are all just some encouragements that I'd like to offer you today to implement today at work. But your assignment is actually to do just like we did earlier in the month with your family members. Think of a couple of people at work that you either, maybe you work somewhere where you're tight, you're like a family and you've got each other's backs. Think of a couple of people you'd like to go deeper, in your relationship with. Or if you're like me, there's just a lot of disengagement. Think of a couple of people you'd like to maybe start a friendship with. And then devise your plan. How are you going to do that? Maybe it's going to start with, just smiling more often. Just taking that moment and making that eye contact. How many times do you guys ever just don't even look at people? A couple of weeks ago, I was in line at the grocery store and I only had a couple of things and I was in a hurry. And I got in line and the person in front of me, it was really busy at the store and there was, lines at all the cashier's registers, except there was only one person at this one aisle, but she had quite a few things in her cart, but I got in line there. So I got in line and she turned around and she said, oh, I see you only have a couple of things. You guys have probably done this before, had this done to you. Would you go ahead and go ahead of me? You've only got a couple of things and I've got all this stuff and it's going to take me a while. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks. So we switched places and it was my turn and she checked me out I was getting ready to leave, and I turned around to say, you know, thanks again to this woman. And I turned around and I go, thanks again for, oh, I'm sorry. I said, there was somebody else here that, it was a different person. It was a man standing there. I said, there was a different person here who gave me, you know, their spot in line. And this man standing there goes, that was me. And it wasn't the case of like, you know, he looked like a woman and you couldn't really tell. He was obviously a man. I don't know how I thought it was a woman. I didn't take a moment to connect, you know, to look at the person. I was just wrapped up in my own little world. I was in a hurry. I was thinking about a million things. And so here this man gave me his spot in my line, and I didn't even know he was a man. That's how, you know, disengaged I was. So take a moment, take a breath, look at people, look in their eyes, look at their face. Oftentimes when we do this, when we slow down and we look people in the eye and we look at their face and we turn off our busy, conceited, self-absorbed world and we turn on our loving, compassionate, caring world, you might notice something when you look at that person. You might notice that something's wrong. You might notice that something is very right. There's a celebration occurring in that person's heart and they'd like to talk about it. So if you stop and pay attention, you may discover meaningful things. So yeah, your assignment is to think of a couple of people and then devise a plan. How am I going to go deeper in my relationships with these people? Maybe, you know, this woman, Lisa, she started doing, she's a med tech. And so my desk is right by the dining room. And when she gets ready to pass her meds before dinner, I'm kind of wrapping up my day and getting ready to leave. And when she took on this shift recently, I'd be sitting there kind of wrapped up in what I'm doing. And she would say, how are you? You know, she's busy. She's got a job to do, but she would take the time to say, how are you doing? And so, you know, and we would have this little, you know, maybe 1 minute dialogue. Because she just takes that time. And so maybe you're going to, you know, figure out a time where you're just going to take a moment and engage with somebody. Maybe it starts there. Maybe you want to go deeper. Another thing that this woman does, Lisa, is she's organized different girls' nights out, where we've gotten together for dinner. We've gotten together to go bowling. You know, it takes that one person to have a special event like that. Without that one person that's willing to organize that, you know, to think of an idea, to think of an event and to let everybody know and to organize it and whatever, do all the work, it takes that one person, doesn't it? So maybe you'll become that one person and create, you know, a special event where, you know, a couple of you can get together and really create a wonderful time and create a wonderful memory. I don't know. So think about it and figure out how you're going to come up with ways to go deeper in your relationships with your coworkers. And that's it. All right, guys. So, this month's challenge is coming to a close. I think we've got 1 week left, and I'll be posting one more video next week about relationships. And just keep in mind that somebody's calling me from Arizona. I'm not going to answer it. I don't know who that would be. Keep in mind that you know, these 30-day challenges are a practice. That's all they are. They're a practice. And so the idea, the hope is that if we practice something, one, we become better at it, but two, it may become a lifelong habit. So wouldn't it be wonderful if, you know, we all became better at making our relationships a lifelong habit? All right. Thank you for watching. I'm going to finish my breakfast and head off to work. I do hope you have a wonderful day.